Hello and welcome to this professional development module where we will be exploring the power of inquiry questioning in critically engaging our students in the English classroom. This video works in conjunction with the accompanying study guide, so if you haven't already, make sure you read through the introduction and have it ready somewhere. Inquiry questioning is an essential part of inquiry-based learning, and as the name suggests, this pedagogical approach to education aims to create inquisitive learners and cultivate a learning environment where students are motivated, engaged, and active participants in the acquisition of knowledge. The inquiry cycle is the overarching inquiry framework we can use to guide students through their learning, and it consists of 5 nonlinear stages: tuning in, finding out, sorting out, going further, and synthesizing and reflecting. These can be used in any order and revisited multiple times during a cycle. Tuning in is generally used as the first stage in an overarching cycle, as it acts as the hook or provocation that gets students interested and curious about the concept. During this stage, we as teachers are gauging what students already know and answering the essential why question. Why are we learning this? Part of piquing students' interest and sustaining it is demonstrating why we should be doing it and making connections to their personal lives. Finding out is where the bulk of the research happens, and it's a perfect opportunity to facilitate collaborative learning. During this stage, students are exploring a particular concept and developing ways to record and organize their newfound information. Students will mostly be naming, identifying, listing, defining, and selecting in this stage. Sorting out is where students start to formulate meaningful insights to the content by synthesizing their new and prior knowledge. They're evaluating, predicting, and judging. This is also an ideal stage for collaborative discussion, as students can bounce ideas off each other, gain insights from their peers' perspectives, and collectively synthesize the information together. In this stage, you're asking questions that help them review and comprehend these concepts. How is our thinking changing? What patterns are you seeing? What does this mean? What are you noticing? What's the best way to explain this to others? How are we using what we're learning? Going further is when we start to approach more independent work as students' knowledge and subsequent questions grow. They'll naturally seek to satisfy personal interests and questions relating to the content, and as inquiry teachers, it's our job to nurture this enthusiasm and guide it down productive paths. They'll continue to evaluate processes and make claims and predictions. Here, we can ask students some general queries such as, what are you most interested in finding out? How could you take this further? What new questions do you have? What personal learning goals have you set yourself? What do you need and what do you need to do? Synthesizing and reflecting is where students put their learning to use, reflect on their learning, and set future goals. It's also a prime opportunity for us to assess their final understanding and growth in skills. During this stage, we ask them, what can we say now that we couldn't have said back then? What do you think is the most important thing we've learned? What have you noticed about our thinking along the way? What should we share with others? What have we learned about ourselves and our learning? So that's what the 5 stages of inquiry are in a nutshell. Let's pause the video here and try our hand at applying these stages to a unit plan. Part 2 of this module looks at questioning strategies we can use in the classroom. There are a never-ending amount of techniques and strategies that help to critically engage students, a lot of which can be found in the sources featured in the annotated bibliography. But for the purpose of this session, we will focus on a few examples from 2 categories: general strategies and no hands-up strategies. 3 strategies in particular that are useful in generating higher-order critical thinking are the question matrix, the question and answer, and the 5 whys. The question matrix helps teachers and learners create and select a range of questions using different question starters and word combinations. Questions in the lower right quadrant will yield deeper thinking than those in the top left. This matrix can be useful in guiding activities or research sessions, and activities can even be around the matrix itself. Question and the answer is quite straightforward. Students are given the answer and must backtrack their way to the question. This technique is useful in getting students to explore and identify gaps in their understanding of a concept, topic, or skill. The 5 whys entails asking a series of questions, each one beginning with a why and linking to the previous answer. Here's an example in the form of a conversation between a student and a teacher. By responding to the 5 why questions, the student was able to connect the themes from the book meaningfully to real-life experiences, which was a key aspect of the novel they needed to grasp. The next category includes no hands-up strategies that can be employed to garner engagement and participation. These are effective in whole class and small group contexts and can be used in conjunction with some of the previous strategies. With the circle formation, students sit in a circle so they have a clear view of each other and are tasked with maintaining conversation without raising their hand. Only one person can speak at a time, so students must wait until there's a pause to speak. To ensure everyone gets a chance to speak, you may also want to pair this with talk tokens. With this, each student is given 2 tokens and must spend them during a discussion. Once they have contributed, they lay their token out in front of them, and once they've spent both, they can no longer contribute. These strategies are effective when unpacking a text, or even in the initial tuning in phase as a quick way to gauge prior learning. So those are just a few of the wide-ranging questioning strategies you can use to enhance student engagement with texts and learning in the English classroom in general. Which ones do you see yourself using? Thank you for participating in this professional development journey towards bringing inquiry into our classrooms. Critical thinking is so essential to English, so much so it's embedded throughout the curriculum and even an essential 21st century skill. By using what we've learnt today, you'll be well equipped to cultivate this critical thinking in your students. Good luck!